Hello everyone, Pineapple here with Season 2 of Hazbin Hotel. Last season was pretty good, we had fantastic and some bad musical numbers, a bit of tonal disparity for an episode specifically, we pinned the 3 worst characters of the season, a list subject to change this time around, and Velvette got stiffed in the musical department, but comes back here with a vengeance. 2 songs in the first episode, carrying one of them. Now let's see if this season can top the first, so why don't we start with episode 1? I'm not sure where else we would. Episode 1 picks up just after the season 1 finale. There has been Hotel bigger and better than before, but folks aren't too happy as they start to figure out the hotel is about redemption, not free shit and angel murder. Katie Killjoy is back, played by Brendan Rogers, expositing with Tom a little truth but mostly slander, waiting for Charlie to go around murdering people. Now to the hotel, all our main residents reprised by the same cast. Vaggie, reprised by Stephanie Beatriz, is working the desk, trying to figure out a name for herself, not wanting to keep the one Adam gave her because, well, you know.
Vagisaurus?
Which she doesn't have any luck in so far. And the moments of that plot thread in this episode aren't the best. Not taken seriously in the right way and not funny when trying to be humorous. Alistair is still recovering from Adam kicking his ass, and this one reporter really wants to kill his wife. A nice little background character arc if I do say so myself. Husk, the ever-smooth, voiced by Keith David Demon, is just as busy serving orders and dealing with a flirting Angel Dust and cute Piggy.
Angel, how about you help me serve these drinks instead of letting your pig gobble my nuts?
Hush! Don't say it like that! He's little!
And I like that while he clearly doesn't want to deal with anyone, Lucifer is just chilling in the background a lot in his nightwear. Cherry Bomb returns, played by Christina Alibardo, also seeming to have been upgraded to regular, as was inferred by the end of the last season. Oh, sorry about that, no, she's just totally hanging, not staying. Someone's still a little rough after Pentious' death. Her having a really nice scene with Angel about it later. But there's someone else who isn't doing so hot after Pentious' death, Charlie. She's reprised by Erica Henningsen, and like I said, is not handling Pentious' death well, weeping with an egg boy. But refusing to let Vaggie work alone, she decides to tend to the presses. Not a great idea. Meanwhile, Vox returns, seemingly the shoe-in for one of the main villains this season. An upgrade from just kind of inconveniencing Alistair for an episode last time, and, you know, assisting in Angel's abuse. No amount of flirting can save Katie from his verbal venom. But the news simply isn't tabloid enough, so Vox works to come up with the perfect spin on the story to squeeze some more power out for himself.
Punish me if you want to.
Ew. No.
Charlie is pretty happy with the new patronage, especially newcomer Baxter, the little scientist played by Kevin Delaguila, and his creative closeness to Sir Pentious immediately endears him in her eyes, in a bit of an unhealthy way. She stops the creepiness in that respect eventually, but of course not without a musical number. Our first of the season has been guaranteed, subtitled Trust Us. And going back to our rankings from last season, this will not add to our trio of S-tier songs. No. But middle of the road with a B ranking. Now as for the hotel section of the song, it's generic happy Charlie song. So it's good, I'm just not too psyched about it. But onto the V section, them taking the disappointed patrons of the hotel and abusing them for profit, the video actually really fucked up, but we don't only get vocals from Vox, but also Lily Cooper as Velvette and Joel Perez as Valentino. I'll talk about them as characters soon, but both songs this episode do well to have Valentino add more vocals, and Velvette is one of my favourite vocalists on the show, carries. Vox, as said by a lot of people before the episode came out, does a little too much speak singing.
Get the fuck out of my building! Get the fuck out of my building!
Snip, 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 bitch.
Valentino doesn't do much, so Velvette clearly carries it for their portion, and if she didn't add to it, like how she got pushed out of the finale song last season, this would be at least a ranking lower. But the song impressively comes together in the third portion, mixing and harmonizing both the V's and Hazbin sides really well. Now let's talk about the other V's, because I've seen some discord on them recently. First of all, Valentino is still firmly in my top 3 hated characters along with Lilith, even if the list will have some adjusting next episode. And sure, I like he's getting a more prominent villain role, as that's what he is, a piece of shit villain, and I want to see him beaten down and ruined. Whereas I like Velvet a lot more, also as a villain, but mostly in performance and style. So when I say Velvet is one of my favourite characters, it's not like I'm a Velvet defender. Sure, she's the lesser of three evils, but still couldn't give a shit about the sexual abuse going on a floor below her. In fact, she doesn't often seem to give a shit about the other Vs in general, but then at times is really close, so I don't know what's going on there. Charlie is having trouble with the crowd, so Jeremy Jordan as Lucifer pops in to steal her away, and I'm liking starting off the season showing how much closer they've grown, and also talking about Lilith abandoning them. Charlie also calling her later, just like last season, although more desperate for her help. Nah, fuck that bitch. She went for milk and cigarettes and instead ended up in heaven, and not in the usual way. Meanwhile, Vox is planning something bigger, taking over heaven now they're on the back foot. Using the V's power, which is suddenly much larger than it was last season. I don't know, compared to a lot of the other overlords, they kinda seemed pathetic last season. Like Lucifer or Alistair at his peak power could just fucking nuke their building if they felt like it. But now they're the one half of the major villains this season, assuming from episode 2 Lute will be the other major antagonist. And I like the fact they get more prominence. It means more Velvet songs, of course, but I'm just not that interested in Vox. And I'm waiting patiently to see Valentino torn to shreds, his insides ripped out and wrapped around his throat until he dies from lack of oxygen, if they can do that in hell. We get Vox's backstory, ex-cult leader, well, that checks out. But to get the V's on his side with his heaven plan, he starts our second song, When We Get Up There. Above Hazbin guarantee at an A ranking. This pretty much solves my problems with the V's from the last song, Vox's speak singing when he does, feeling a lot more natural, like in Stayed Gone, even if not hitting 100% of the time, and getting a lot more actual singing from him that sounds nice. The song is very much a classical feeling progression, the mixing of vocals, both Valentino and Velvet working quite well, helping cementing them as the focused antagonists, having 1.5 of the first songs. It's pretty solid. To end the episode, Vaggie consoles Charlie as Katie is still committing libel. And while Charlie's on her own, Emily suddenly pops in for a hot second, telling her Sir Pentious is fine, but Heaven's going into lockdown for a while. Okay. That was a pretty good opener, bringing the V's to prominence and reaffirming the status quo of the hotel. Now on to episode 2, which is heaven-based. A good idea, but I do think the second episode completely switching away from the main characters, especially with 2 episode releases, does feel a little jarring. So into episode 2, we have a totally heaven-based episode, starting with Sera, reprised by Patina Miller. And last season, in my top 3 worst characters, a cruel hypocrite. But I shit you not, I am loving her this episode. Not only in redemptive arc, as she has to grapple with being responsible for the massacring of people she now knows could have been redeemed, but a song later, Jesus. And of course, while Sera is freaking out trying to figure out the right course, Emily is her usual moral and cheerful self, arguing against Sera as much as she can, and while I can't say I like her any less, and I do like what she gets in this episode, I'm not getting much from her. She feels to me, sure, like the heavenly mirror to Charlie, but until she gets some more characterization, to me that's all she feels like, and that kinda sucks. But I do think they'll do better with her as the season goes on. Of course, Jessica Vosk is back as Lute's usual asshole self, more on her later. Until then, she just kinda yells and broods. And since no one gives a shit about Darren Criss' character St. Peter, who all he did last season was give us the worst song of the show, the first of the new characters is Abel, played by Fall Out Boy lead singer Patrick Stump. And although I like Emily more, once again I'll need time to see how he evolves. But until then, it's easy to get his gist. Adam hated him because he isn't a hateful murderer like his father. I guess Cain was Adam's favourite then. Abel is kinder and a little more subdued, but is given Adam's position over Lute due to nepotism. Although probably a good move judging by her mental state. Though it is satisfying to see Sera put her in her place, like how Lute tries to do to Abel.
Shut up, Abel. Adam didn't even fucking like you.
I know.
Sir Pentious is on trial, his appearance and what it means spooking Sera and many others. And it's so sad seeing him try to commit communicate but freaking out so much. Let my boy go. He didn't do anything wrong. Coming to his aid is the Speaker of God. So, Metatron, I guess? Played by once Disney singer Liz Calloway. And so we get to see his story, where in his cute human and hermited life, he couldn't bring himself to bring a killer to justice by outing their identity. Not only a good story, but performed really well. Now that Adam has carked it, I suppose Alex is putting his all into Pentious. Even the Speaker thinks Lute is being a dick, and welcomes Pentious to his new home. Emily possibly more eager than Charlie for something like this. And Lute messages Lilith, telling her she's off the hook from her plan at the end of last season. But who cares about this absentee parent? Moving on, Emily really wants to get Pentious happy in heaven. And helped by Abel and Peter, she sings our first song of 3 in this episode. A first for the show, I believe. Like You. And wow, the songs about how great heaven is are just doomed to suck, huh? Nah, it's nowhere near as bad as Welcome to Heaven, but it does feel rather generic, even if all of the singing is great. But the best part is definitely Pentious' verse. But that doesn't save the whole thing. I hope other people like this one much more than I did, but I am not into it.
No one here's addicted to crack.
The song is boppy, and like I said, sung very well, but it just kinda makes me depressed. Pentious is starting to want to kill himself again, because without his friends, heaven is his hell. And I'm not being facetious. We go right into our next song, and boy is it fucking S-rank. Sera's Confession is a duet where she admits that she doesn't know what to do now that she knows she's been ordering the deaths of possibly savable souls, with the Speaker offering her advice on how to progress, learn, and atone. And sure, at points the instrumental is a tad too loud over the vocals, but otherwise in music and animation it's flawless. No notes, get that shit on my phone right now. Meanwhile, Lute is having a mental breakdown. So far off the deep end, she's hallucinating Adam. And I like that, sure, he acts like Adam, but in some of his dialogue and mannerisms, he really doesn't feel like the real Adam. Sure, in dialogue he notes that he can't know what Lute doesn't know, so it's kind of obvious, but the way he acts really does just feel a little off in general, and I think that adds well. After Sera continues to be unsure in her actions, and Emily finally helps Pentious a little by giving him some cute yet inferior egg boys, Lute heads to Adam's office, breaking more shit, as it seems she's already been in here before, throwing Abel out, heading into our second S-ranked song in a row, Gravity. Wow, if I had a nickel for every song with Gravity in the name, sung by Jessica Vosk, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. What can I say about Gravity that hasn't already been said? Great vocals and harmony, the instrumental goes hard, and the presentation looks fantastic. The episode ends with Sera deciding to seal heaven off for the time being, Emily heading off to see Charlie just like last episode, and Pentious weeps for his unreachable friends with only his new egg boys for comfort. So while the pacing is a bit strange, we have 2 solid opening episodes, music ranging from fantastic to fine, and does well to set up the status quo of the new season, reintroducing us to everyone's favourites, well, everyone's favourites and fucking Valentino. Can't wait for his violent and excruciating death. Thank you everybody for watching my review of the first 2 episodes of Hazbin Hotel. Yeah, we're a little out of sync and probably will continue to be with this show, but that's just the turnaround of multiple episode reviews. Please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, consider subscribing to the channel if you do, ring the notification bell so you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.